All right. Okay.
You okay?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm happy. How are you doing? Good. Yeah. Yeah, would everybody please stand? We'll say a pledge and a prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the glorious things that you give us. Watch over us and keep us safe. Help us make wise decisions for our county. Dear Lord God, bless those who serve us. And pray. Had a chance to review the minutes tonight? Yes, sir. Any questions? I'll make a motion to approve. Josh made a motion. Craig seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. First, I want to welcome April Gilmore. He's serving as our county attorney. He's been, he's with CFLB out in New Albany. And she'll be filling in for us. Well, yes, please. Jeff? Yes, sir. Come forward, please. How are you this morning? Thank you. It's fine. I'll share. I'll give it that. I'm Jeff Black from using it. Sit down there, Jeff. Use the mic. Appreciate it. Morning, Commissioner, and Auditor. Good morning. My name is Jeff Black. I'm with Radius, Indiana. Radius is a regional nonprofit economic development group. And as of about February, we became owners of the CSX rail line. So we're coming this morning and just give you some information on what's happening, what we think is going to be happening, so that you're aware and in the loop. If you have questions, you got an opportunity to have a conversation. So the sale of the corridor was completed in February. CSX sold a little over 62 miles that included Orange County, a bunch of Washington County, and the Clark and Floyd counties. Under the terms of the sale, the city of New Albany got ownership of all the Floyd County mileage, which is about 4 miles. And then the mileage for the other 4 counties came to Radius, so we got about 58 miles a quarter. CSX had the right to remove the rails and the ties. And so they hired a subcontractor that has been out all summer, as you probably know, taking up the rails and the ties and Trino Services. Like I said, they are under contract with CSX, not to Radius. They have until sometime in November to complete the work. Looks like they're probably a little bit ahead of schedule on that. Most rails and ties up. Still need to dispose of things, obviously. There were over 100 road crossings they had to remove the rails and the ties from grade. But last I heard, as of last week, there were only 8 road crossings remaining to be resurfaced, regraded. And 4 of those were state highway crossings. It crosses highway 63 times, and then it crosses 160 once, as you know. Okay, perfect. So, and I just went out to inspect the Harrisburg Road crossing yesterday. They put the cuts in, so they're getting very close to getting that. That requires, obviously, NDOT approval and permit. So we had planned that Radius was going to make sure that where there were opportunities to regrade road crossings to improve traffic, that we would work with them to do that. We would do that on our own. We took an advantage instead because Reno was not doing it anyway. We worked out a contract with them that we would pay them extra if they would regrade a road even better than they needed to. Many road crossings, you'll see they took it down. Instead of taking it down 10 inches, they took it down maybe a foot and a half to try to make the road crossings better. I think all of our work with them now is complete. We have begun design work of the trail. We hired Clark Deeds. We did an RFP. It was competitive. Clark Deeds is our engineering firm to do design work on what we're calling phase 1 of the trail. It's our intention to try in 2024 to begin construction, and we will try to construct the segments of the trail in each of the municipalities along the trail. The people who are in the cities and towns will get a fairly immediate positive benefit. So that's Borden, Pekin, Salem, Campbellsburg, Chattilla, Orleans, and Mitchell. And in those cases, we want to put at least a segment that's paved in each city and town, make it as easy as possible for folks with strollers or folks on bicycles, folks in motorized wheelchair kind of folks, give them all a nice new walking path, basically. In some parts of municipal areas and then in non-municipal areas, we're going to use a crushed limestone surface. It's something that will be pretty well compacted. We've looked at other trails around the country that use that surfacing, and bicycle riders really ride on it fairly well. So, for example, we'll do a section between Sotillo and Campbellsburg. So those two will be connected right away. 2.5 to 3 mile continuous section of trail up there. We're also looking at doing some pavement in Pekin, do crushed limestone section of pavement in Borden, then do another crushed limestone section down to Dean Lake Road, about a 10-mile stretch there. That'll connect Dean Lake all the way up to Pekin, giving folks a nice longer trail. Altogether, we estimate about 20 miles of trail that should be constructed about this time next year. We have applied for a grant through the U.S. Department of Transportation, right, under $9 million, and it's competitive, so we don't know for a fact we're going to get it. But we'll wait and see. We should find out. We get that grant, we'll be able to carry on construction. It probably in 2025 get our design work done. That section then allows to connect Mitchell to Orleans to Campbellsburg to Salem. We have nearly a 30-mile section. We have also begun looking at kind of a broader picture of how the communities can prepare themselves for what the trail will bring, economic development opportunities, and quality of place opportunities. We've worked with a group called the Epley Institute, a national park planning organization out of IU. And through Radius, we are offering Epley Institute assistance to any city or town's park system that wants to develop a new master plan. If they have a DNR approved master plan, they're eligible for grants from DNR that they help with their own city or town parks or trails. Or hopefully, from our perspective, we'll also do some work with the trail city. Having gotten that done, now we're looking at economic development organizations, things we can bring to the use of the cities and towns. Main Street programs, for instance, we're talking to the Office of Community Affairs to see if they can help all the cities and towns that want to set up Main Street programs that would be qualified with the designation so that they would qualify for grants from Oprah, other agencies. We have set up a separate organization, the Southern Indiana Trailways, a new 501c3. We're putting local representatives from the county cities on that board of directors so that they can be kind of the grassroots organization that helps work on the trail and with the trail. Great, just so that we get input and opportunities to be partners.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, anytime. I don't want to think of that.
One of the things that I've been asked, like CSX, when they took over the railroad, the bridges, where we get long James, we called in, come out and cutting out that, like one in Pekin. I mean, it's every major frame we have, that thing fills up. What happens now to that?
That's going to be our responsibility. So we're going to have to figure out.
So do we contact you?
Yes.
Okay, because they don't create floods for everybody. And then the second thing, you said the roadway will be 7 foot wide.
The trailway, our minimum will actually be 9 feet wide, and in the cities and towns, it'll probably be 10 feet wide. If we think it's going to be a real active section, we could theoretically go out to 12 feet wide, but I think it's generally going to be 10. If we get into a rural section, long rural, say from Salem to Campbellsburg, we may try to squeeze it down to 9 to say, here we go.
When we'll be able to get an ambulance in a place out there on the road.
That's a good question. I think so. With 9 foot wide, because it'll still be a foot of total.
And one other question I've got, I'd ask, will they be able to run their ATVs or?
No, we're not going to allow motorized vehicles, other than electric bikes, those e-bikes things, but, no mechanized vehicles. They're just so wide that it's not conducive for bikes.
I've been asking.
I know that, numerous people this summer concluded this was a new playground. There are ATVs and side by sides, and you may have seen we've actually gone around and put up some signs saying no motorized vehicle construction to try to get that message out to folks. Vehicle.
I'd like for these crossings that have been reworked, regraded, whatever you want to call it. Generally speaking, I'm talking about the one at South Hill. I mean, it's good on one side. One side is, I guess, where it's settled. It's pretty rough.
The north side or the south side?
The road be on the west side.
West end of the, okay, I'll take a look.
Generally speaking, I believe you said Trino was the contractor, but they've subcontracted out. And from Salem towards Pekin, CNR Construction did the crossing. And from Salem towards Campbellsburg is Glenn Sons. And if anything, we've had more problems that direction. And there's probably more than that one crossing. So if there's contact information we could get about the construction inspection before anybody signs off on it.
Jeff, this is Rick Wolves, our highway superintendent.
I think towards Pekin, we're going to be pretty good shape, but we may have a few issues with Campbellsburg.
The ones that were done right around Salem here are really good. I'm very pleased with those that are real smooth and you can fly across them now. The ones out west of town, not so good, are they?
You think that was Glenn Sons?
Glenn Sons, but they was We contacted them several times. Some pretty serious issues.
That's, so,
They were out here, they removed the cross ties, everything, and filled it with asphalt and road at the same time. There, they left them for a couple of days, just removed the cross ties and let the 8-inch drop off for 2 or 3 days at a time.
That's the now.
So yeah, that's done. Then the repair work is mediocre. We may need some touch up work.
I think this is the page section for the,
So do you want me to talk to the public in general or? We want.
But I mean, you go ahead with your part.
Really the only last thing I've got on my sheet is, we're going to also look at trying to control, invasive species along the trail. I know, there's been an attitude of neglect from the CSX over the years towards the trail. We've reached out to a group, Indiana species group, figure out some strategies to help control this. That's about it. Right, so for how much time you have? What?
I do have one question. And I get this question asked a lot. I get a guy down the road from me who lives property joins the tracks. And he calls, of course, he's retired. He doesn't have a lot of things to do, but he's concerned about a fellow living down tracks underneath a bridge. And of course, believe it or not, we do have some homeless people in this county. Not very many, but he's concerned about safety. Various other people who own property or backyards where the old railroad track was. One particular lady. There was one of your meetings 2 or 3 years ago. She lives alone. She's in her 80s. She said, "I never know who's walking up and down the tracks." And my biggest concern is if there's an accident anywhere on this trail, or not, who's responsible for policing? Our county sheriff's department, they supposed they have 4-wheelers. They could get one out and sit down that trail, but you just said that they're not allowed on the trail. And in case of an emergency, what's the plan for trying to keep the trail area safe?
In case like that, we certainly allow a police range, let's say, to use the trail, be public safety. It's just only trying to keep the Saturday afternoon 4-wheeler guys, Sunday morning deer hunter, fighting for.
But I can promise you, putting some signs up is not going to keep these 4-wheelers off that trip.
I know.
It's going to be it'll be like a magnet.
To some degree, the general experience. So I don't really internalize specifically to this. Generally, these trails tend to draw crowds of folks who are out there working indoor hiking and respect. And enough of them are present that hopefully will discourage some of that.
The problem we have in Washington County, we're not like any other county around us, especially, Clark County, Floyd County, the more populated counties are smaller, where there's going to be more people walking this trail, more people who watch us for one another. And with the mileage of this trail that we have in our county, and 90% of it being very, very secluded and rural,
personally, I don't think you're gonna get a lot of people using it. Two, the ones that do, I don't know how safe they're gonna be. And if this is concerned, I've talked to, the sheriff about this, he's concerned about, you know, who's gonna foot the bill for policing this, and are we required to police it? And, you know, the bad thing about this trail, other than the road intersections, you can't get there from here.
You know, we went out in September. I've personally been, we took our engineers as far as, you know, we went to Missouri where they got a 240-mile long trails. Eight, column. It is entirely the crushed stone surface. So we went out there both to learn about what their construction methods are, use the best current methods available, and also to gauge some of the public safety issues and some of the economic development. They tend to put trailheads, public access points, about 10, 15 miles apart. So they have pretty long rural stretches, similar to what you're talking about here, exceeding that. They find that there are people who come from all around the Midwest. These kinds of long distance trails are tourism destinations. You will have people coming from Ohio, Illinois, so they can spend a weekend on a 60 on this trail.
And Jim, what was the name of that?
That's called the Katy Trail, K-A-T-Y.
CAT1.
K-A.
Okay.
So yeah, these are, go to the website and look at YouTube, lots of folks who put their bike rides on the Katy Trail.
If I could add to what Todd said, I'm kind of curious about the signage. If there's any kind of pedestrian crossing, or let's say you've got a bicycle right down this trail and they're not familiar with it, and they cross a county road, is there going to be a warning signs for the bicyclist if they're at an intersection?
So we're using grant dollars, some federal grants that have very specific requirements on things like it's called aprons when you're approaching a road crossing. Kind of bumpy surface in, so you have a blind hiker, they feel the bumpy surface. So we'll be putting up signs.
Jeff, the sheriff has a question.
It's a matter of whether or not it's going to happen. The question is going to be when is something going to happen on the trail that requires emergency service. My question to you is, it's been our experience in the past in dealing with like the Knobstone Trail. It's kind of difficult sometimes to find people, know where they are, to get to them in a timely manner. Are there going to be some kind of mile markings or something along this trail where it's easier for us to try to find people when something does happen?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll have one more. Yeah, I absolutely agree, Tom. Just that there, you know, late and the Oxley Trailhead last weekend. I appreciate it.
Yes.
That's all I had, except for, would you care to stop and see the surveyor before you leave? She has a question about some surveying things.
No, you know, we discovered that CSX gave us more than just the 60-foot wide trail. We found out there's about a hobo gulch, I guess it's called, 3 acres. There's a scattering of properties, but these aren't real clear, so Drew Wright is working with us to talk to the surveyor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're just kind of at a standstill on who needs to move next.
I talked to Drew Trading over through yesterday. I think you were titled. I'll go on.
Jeff, do you have a contact number?
A lot.
Do you have a contact number?
Yeah, let me get that. found out is, there's a boxcar down there. See if they forgot to take it away. We own a boxcar now. We're gonna try to fix it up and make it part of the trailhead there and say,
You could turn it into a food stand.
well, someone suggested that, someone suggested the B&B thing. There's that little building down there by Main Street, public restrooms, so.
So will that be permitted then?
What's that?
Will people be allowed to set up food stands along the trail?
If it's on their property, you bet. And that's what we see in on these other trails. It's got everything from the kids who do, lemonade stands to, farmers who turn the field into a food patch.
So we have a list of rules and regulations that we'll go by.
Yeah, we'll put signs up. We've been, like I said, we've visited other trails. We're trying to figure out what the best practices are. Do as much right first time.
Jeff, we appreciate you coming in today, answering some of these questions.
And I'll come back.
Thank you.
Checking, so it's the western part of the county.
Job. So I know the one. Sign up, consider them.
The RDA, John Jones, has been a representative with the RDA, and John has turned in his resignation. And that being said, the Board of Commissioners appointing Chris Fordyce. And that being said, I need a motion. Chris made a motion. Second. Second. All in favor, say aye. 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 Motion carried. We've got since we added air conditioning to the attic of the courthouse, we do have three possibilities. It could be, if anything was to go wrong with the motor or anything like that, and we don't have no alarm system up there. And we talked to Johnson Controls, the price on that power. $1,095. I make a motion that we do have them install part protection that we tie into our system here before we go burn the roof off.
I'll second that, but reluctantly, even though it's safety.
Well, it's been bottom like 10 years. We try to get the thing to stop leaking, and we get it so far. I don't want to burn it down now. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Rick?
Don't have much for you. We finished our county paving, so we're ready to switch our trucks over for winter operations. Mowing's pretty well slowed down. We've taken the spray tanks out of the trucks, just getting everything ready for winter time.
When do you change your schedule?
Maybe the end of this month. I think we've got this Friday and one more Friday, and then we'll go back.
Okay. And then before we're stored up on salt press, right?
We've got plenty of salt, mixed material building's full. We actually have a state contract, salt flow programs that we have time for.
For the 2023 bid.
They can't hear you. So just make it for approval. Make a motion for approval for Silicon. Made motion. Rick second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. We won't come forward now. State your name for us, where you're from.
Jennifer Bowers. I'm coming here in two capacities. So I'm on board Outside the Walls, which is a nonprofit here in Washington County. We assist with basic housing needs, I guess you would say. Mainly handicap ramps is our expertise. And over the last year, maybe 2 years, it's evolved into more assistance for utilities, electric, water, gas company. So I'm also the trustee for Monroe Township, and those things should fall under a trustee. So what we're seeing outside the walls is trustees not properly administering their assistance dollars, and then they are referring those clients to us. So I'm trying to figure out how to hold the trustees more accountable for properly assisting their residents. The Township Association, Indiana Township Association, offers training classes to explain the IC codes and what the requirements are of the trustee for administering assistance. They run a class specifically for that. There are a lot of things that fall underneath the trustee that I don't think most trustees are aware of. I'm new this year in January, as are several of my counterparts. And in my experience, in just the last 9.5 months, I think the majority of us are just unaware of our responsibility. That they don't really understand all of the things that are required of a trustee. I've attended several of the training classes this year, and I have not seen anyone else from Washington County except for the very first one I went to in January. Last month, I attended a 3-day training conference, and I was the only person from Washington County. If someone comes to me for assistance, there is a state regulated application that all trustees in the state are supposed to use. I'm pretty confident that the majority of the trustees here are not using that, because in my experience, whenever I took over, that's not the application form that was turned over in paperwork to me. So I think that the same thing will probably happen to some of the others. So then, if I take the application, then I have to give written approval or denial to the fund. In either case, if they disagree with the amount that I say I'm going to help them with, or if I deny them, they have the right to appeal. The appeal comes here. And then this body is to determine if I follow the guidelines properly. So the problem outside the walls that we see is we're using a lot of our dollars for things that a trustee should be using the dollars for. And we're not trying to cause problems, we're trying to figure out how to work with everybody so that but one, we don't want to, so our motto outside the walls is a hand up, not a handout. We're not looking to support people on a regular basis. We're looking to help them better their situation and not need the assistance again. So we like to try to work with the other agencies because we also have Salvation Army assistance dollars here, Hoosier Uplands Assist. So we try to make sure that basically they're not getting funds for the same thing from multiple places. That's also the responsibility of the trustee. The trustee is essentially supposed to be the hub of that. And the trustee is where it should be starting and then referring out. So the problem outside the wall sees is that we're going to start denying people that come and ask for assistance if they have not been to their trustee first. The problem with that is a lot of them are seeing their trustee, and because the trustee is not administering it properly, they're stuck. So the next step for them would be to just appeal it and come here.
Do you have a trustees joint meeting with all the trustees?
No.
No?
No, sir.
Did they not? Steve Anderson.
Yeah, they used to.
I was told, I don't know how many years ago, from what I hear, it's been a really long time since that happened. So I came into this because I used to administer the Salvation Army dollars at First Christian Church. I've been gone from there for 2 years, and I worked there for 2 years. So at least in those 4 years, the trustees have not been holding those meetings. So my hope was that maybe through y'all, we can get that going again. But,
That's kind of how our wheelhouse is.
well,
The trustees are elected officials. You
Yes.
can't hold a gun to their head and say, hey, you're not doing your job. They answer to the public like we do.
right, I understand.
That's the problem.
But then it rolls back here to y'all if residents start appealing the trustee's decision. So also, most of the trustees, if not all, are not giving a written denial. They're just denying over the phone or denying the person, just word of mouth. There's no written documentation, and that is grounds for appeal as well.
We've never seen an appeal in 5 years I've been here.
I understand. And so that's kind of why I'm here, is because before this turns into a big mess, because I feel like you've not seen an appeal because people don't understand their rights. So people don't know they can do that. Being outside the walls, the board there is going to start telling people that and telling them how to go about the process, because the trustees that they have spoken to are not really open to trying to better the situation. So,
It's a bad situation.
yes. And
Have you talked to any of the other trustees?
I am not personally, I'm the treasurer for Outside the Walls. So the board president, who intended to be here with me, got called on her way here to go back home for an emergency. She has reached out to a couple of the trustees along with a couple of the other board members, and it's not been very receptive for mutual help.
Well,
And if you're interested, I looked up all of the township assistance dollars that everyone in this county, all the trustees hold. And some of us have quite a lot of money that we're either not using. I would say for my township, the money is just sitting. It's not been used probably for 15, maybe 20 years. So much so that last year's budget and this year's budget, we are not even putting money into the township assistance fund because the reserves are so large. So in my time the last 4 years with these different assistance programs, it's my experience that the majority of residents don't even know that their trustee can assist with anything. And the trustee is legally by law allowed to assist with a lot more things than stay outside the walls. There's just a lot of things besides utility. Trustee can help with burial, food. There's just a whole host of things that I think people are unaware of. And
have you heard the talk in a couple of years, they're talking about doing away with the trustees?
yes, so I went to the training sessions and I went in February to a legislative conference. That's been talked probably for the last 10 years to do away with the trustee. This was the first year that there was actually not a bill to get rid of the trustee because so many trustees across the state have changed over and the new trustees are actually doing their jobs. It's not just a Washington County problem, it is a statewide problem. That basically a trustee spot was a good spot to sit and do nothing. And some townships have found whenever the new trustee came in after somebody's been there 10 to 15 years that they have no money. They're in the hole and they're trying to figure out how to provide fire services to their residents. I was fortunate enough to not be in that situation. I have a lot of money that basically has just been hoarded for 19 years, and we've not done anything for our residents. So my board and I have a plan for the next few years as to things we're going to do with that money to improve our standing. And I would say from the annual reports I've seen, most trustees in this county are in the same situation. We have plenty of money, we're just either not using it or not using it properly.
Have you ever talked to Juniper Sullivan or Steve Anderson?
I have not, but I'm not opposed to speaking with them.
I would recommend, first of all, I'd start with those two. Not saying anything against them and the rest of the county, but there are two of the pretty active trustees. Get their opinion on this and see what they tell you. I would like to know more about what you find out. Come back to us and see what you come up with. That'd be okay.
Yes, sir. Can I ask if any townships besides Monroe have provided their township assistance guidelines to y'all?
They probably have, but I wouldn't. I recall seeing. I have.
So just so you're aware, according to the code, that each township is supposed to have township assistance guidelines that are public record. So a resident can come in and say, I don't know what the guidelines are, so I know if I qualify for assistance. And those guidelines are supposed to be turned over to the county commission board for such purposes as if someone files an appeal, then that's what you use to determine if the denial was based on the guideline.
You know, I can tell you right now, is I haven't seen any.
So Ms. Connie's not here, so I don't really want to speak for her, but I do know that we have reached out and asked at least one other trustee for their guidelines and basically just give the runaround. They don't say yes or no that they have them, but they don't provide.
Government can be aggravating policies, and that's why we have attorneys to advise us what to say, when to say it, how to say it, but there's so much you don't know. This job does require, like yours, a lot more than what people think.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, we try to do the best for the constituents, we work, serve, work. But, and I do appreciate you coming in. And I would, right now, advise you to talk to Junior and also Steve Anderson. See what they tell you. And they come back to us. We do that.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not to put you on the spot, but your spot's open there. Is there anything you'd like to comment or say or anything?
On behalf of First Langdon, Plum, and Bannock, we would just like to thank the commissioners for the opportunity to be here and present the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen? Rick? Scott? Motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. I see. Every part.